Hi everybody, welcome to Dandelion Cottage and Paper Crafting Saturday. I'm Leslie Watkins, and I have a fun painting with ink project for you today. So I have a stamp set. Let me see where it went to. This is called So Much Love. Let me get this over here. So Much Love. And it comes with these two images of these beautiful roses with some little buds and leaves and some nice sentiments. And we're going to be painting this bigger picture today, and we're going to be using inks. So let's get started. So I have a piece of Whisper White cardstock. This is the thick cardstock, and we're going to be making a landscape oriented card today. And I have a piece of the Fluid 100 watercolor paper, and that comes in a package like this. And this is a half sheet, so that measures 3.5 by 5 inches. And then I've got a mat with the Granny Apple green and an envelope to match. I also have, I'm not sure if I'm going to use this or not, but I do have some scraps of Daffodil Delight off to the side in case I decide I want to put a sentiment on here. So I've got my stamping pad here. This is just the piercing pad, and you can see it. It's wrapped up in this piece of paper, well used. And I've got my Granny Apple green ink pad. So I've got my stamp already mounted up, and I'm just going to tap that gently, and then I'm going to stamp off once, and that's to remove the excess ink. And then what I'm going to do is a second generation stamp over in this corner of the paper. Okay, so that's very light, and that's okay. That's all I want it to be, just enough to show me where I'm going to be painting. So actually I'm going to leave this open because I'm going to use my ink pad as a palette. I've also got my Daffodil Delight ink. And I've got some Cherry Cobbler here. Okay, I think you can see that. And I have my re-inkers, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple of drops from each re-inker and let that be on the inside cover of my stamp pad. Here's the Cherry Cobbler. Okay, now that is plenty of color. These inks are really saturated, and you don't need a lot, so just a drop or two is plenty. And then I also have my water painter brushes, and I'm just using the middle one. Okay, so there's the tip, and I have a piece of paper towel here handy, and all I'm going to do is drop a little bit of, I'm just going to squeeze the handle and drop a couple of drops of water in each of these wells or lids. And now I'm taking a very light dilute mixture And I'm just going to run that right over the flower. Just a very light wash. Clean my brush by squeezing some water to rinse it out. And then I'm taking a very, very light pink. So this is a very diluted cherry cobbler. And I'm adding some color to these little buds. Okay, so maybe I can zoom you in so you can see a little bit better. If I put these sideways. There we go. Okay, so same thing, rinse out my brush. And now taking a very dilute mixture of the green. I'm just putting a light wash on my leaf shapes. Okay, get the stems. Okay, so that's our underpainting. So at this point, it doesn't matter if we can see the lines or not. We've got the basic overall shape. So we can just follow that as we continue to paint. So I have an extra block over here. This is a clear block. This is the big one. And I'm going to put a little piece of white paper underneath it so I can see my mixtures. And what I'm going to do is use this as a palette. So so I don't contaminate the colors on my pad tops. I'm going to take some of that green and put it on my palette over here. And now if I want to add a little bit of red or yellow to that, I can do that without getting my the colors on my ink pads contaminated with any other colors. So I just added a little bit of red. And I can vary the color this way a little bit. So maybe that's a little bit too much red, so I can add more green to that. There we go. So that's the color I'm looking for. So this just makes it a little bit darker so we can start to model some of these leaves. Now if you're interested in learning more about watercolor painting, I have a free Zoom class coming up on September 17th, and you're invited. And the class is free. There's no charge for you to watch. But I also have some supplies available if you'd like to paint along with me. And all that information is on my website. So go to dandelioncottagedesign.com and subscribe to Notes. And I will send you everything you need to know about the free Zoom class, how to register, and also how to get the supplies to follow along with both the watercolor and the cards, because we're going to make watercolor note cards. And that information is below in the description of the video as well, if you didn't get that. And this class that I'm going to be giving is called Beautiful Watercolor Note Cards, and I will be showing you how to do just 3 different brush strokes to get great designs for flowers. And very easy, great way to get started. If you prefer, you can use ink instead of watercolor. That'll work just fine. So there we go. So there's our leaves. Now I'm going to take a little bit more of this red, and I'm just going to put a darker, slightly darker tone on these flower buds. Okay, now I'm going to make sure my brush is nice and clean and go back into my yellow. And now I can start to put some additional yellow on my beautiful rose here. I painted a yellow rose last Wednesday in Watercolor Wednesday, and you can go watch that video on my YouTube channel, which is called Dandelion Cottage. Or you can scroll right down in my Facebook page and find it there as well. So these yellow roses that I have in my garden are just beautiful. They're called the crocus rose. And I'm pretty sure I got them from David Austin, who is the great, or was the great, rose breeder from England. And he's very famous in the gardening world for bringing back these beautiful old world roses with fragrance, because a lot of the roses started to lose their fragrance as they became more and more cultivated. So one of the aims that he had in his rose breeding program was to have scented roses as well as beautiful roses. So now I'm taking a little bit of that pink mixture and I'm mixing it onto my my palette over here off camera, and I'm adding a little bit of yellow to that. So I'm getting kind of a peachy tone. And I can just add a few dashes of that on my flower. Okay, so that's really all there is to it. Okay, so you have a choice. You can keep it as loose and wet as you like, or you can get a lot more detail in there. I'm going to leave mine pretty much like that. I think I'll add a couple more touches to my buds. There we go. And maybe I'm going to add some accents to my leaves. I need to drop more of this green. So some colors are stronger than other colors, so you have to mix accordingly. There we go. If you like, you can put the veins back in on your leaves. A couple of touches here and there. Okay. So I think that's enough for now. Now let's put it together. So I'm going to move these ink pads out of the way, and you can just leave that puddle in the lid, that's fine. And when you're ready to do it again, you can just moisten it and it will be ready to go. So I think I will use one of my Daffodil Delight scraps, and I've mounted up the sentiment here, which is "You made my day." And this, what's really nice about this stamp set is that it's a kind of a very supportive stamp set. So you've got "Here for you," "So much love for you," "You made my day." So it's a really nice set to have just for the sentiments. And I'm going to use the Granny Apple Green ink because that is going to coordinate with my colored mat here. And let's see, how do I want to do this? I don't want it too big. Let me get another piece of paper. There we go. Oh, sorry, I'm off camera here. Let me zoom you back out again. There we go. All right, so here's my scrap piece of paper, and I'm just make sure I've got this right side up. Okay, you made my day. And I'm just going to snip that out. You can use your trimmer if you like, but I'm going to give the side a little bit of a flag here. Just a little, just a shallow one. And actually, I think I'll make that a little smaller. We don't need all this extra space on here. There we go. And I have my liquid glue. I'm just going to add that to the back of my watercolor paper. Get that mounted on my Granny Apple Green mat. Now, when I'm using a mat that's slightly bigger than my picture, I always leave a little bit extra on the bottom, and that just helps to balance. See that? That's centered. And I'm going to use a dimensional to pop my sentiment up. Put 2 on the back there. There we go. And let's see. So do I want this angled? I think I'll just do it straight this time. Okay, and then finally, I'm going to add some of the basic jewels rhinestones. So I'm going to take one big one, and I think what I want to do is I'm going to pretend that it's dew on the leaves of the roses here. So I'm just going to add a couple of little dewdrops. So I've got one large, one medium, and one small. And there's the card. So there's a really easy way that you can completely transform the looks of your cards by using your water-based inks as you would watercolors. Now, I'd like to mention that next month there's a special promotion, and you can get this stamp set for free. Okay, so not only do you get the stamp set for free, but you'll also get a pack of the rhinestone jewels. You'll get a second stamp set. This is the Queen Anne's lace, which is really nice. And you get 2 card kits, each with enough paper and envelopes and everything you need to create 8 cards each. So that's a total of 16 cards. And the way you are eligible to get all of these extras is by joining my team. And when you join, you can get $125 worth of product for only $99 and free shipping, plus this great bundle. And you have access to my free watercolor painting classes each month as a member of my team. So if you're interested in any of those things or learning more, again, please go to my website at dandelioncottagedesign.com. I haven't yet put this information up about this special set here, but I will be doing that later today. So you'll be able to see close up what these things look like. So thank you so much for joining me today. I know that was a lot of information. And stay tuned for that free Zoom class coming up on September 17th. If you'd like to register, you can do that by subscribing to Notes at Dandelion Cottage, and also you can get more information on that on my website, and that's up right now. So have a great day, have a wonderful weekend, stay well, stay creative, and I'll see you next time on Monday for Marvelous Monday. All for now.